If it gets too dark, I'll be your light. What is up, Empowerment Tribe? It is another Monday, and you know what that means. It's time for Mindset Monday. Mindset Monday. And I'm so glad to be back with you. It's a little overcast here in Baltimore, Maryland, but we are bringing the sun on our own, bring our own light. So let me do the shout outs. Good morning, IG. I see you, Monique, the artsy cook. I see you. I would love to know what artsy things you cook. Over here on Facebook, hello to Leola and to Mara. It's time to get the tribe in. If you don't see your tribe people, go get them. Go get them. Go hit them up in the DMs and like, where are you? We're waiting on you. We are waiting on you. I'm your girl, Jeanette Smith, certified life strategist and mindset coach. And we come on every Monday, Wednesday, and Friday at 10 a.m., bringing you tools and things out of my toolbox of positive psychology, neurolinguistics, and the like to help you make better decisions for better living. It's all about making better decisions for better living, right? I wanted to tell you all something funny. While you're getting the rest of the tribe in, let me just tell you, our little theme song, excuse me, that ginger just hit me kind of, hit me sideways there. Our theme song, I'll Be Your Light. You know, we dance, we sing to it, all of that good stuff. Hello, Helen. This will take like 30 seconds. I was looking online for something else and I found our theme song. I didn't know this when I had the open created, but check this out. It's our theme song, right? I want you to look at the lyrics at the bottom. We've been like that crazy cousin singing them wrong. If it gets too dark, we've been saying if it gets too tight. That's what it sounded like he was saying, right? So if it gets too dark, I'll be your light. Oh, that made me laugh. If it gets too dark, I'll be your light. Yes. So now that we know the lyrics and we have the lyrics right, we'll get our own theme song together. That was funny to me. I was like, oh, we just been singing it wrong. Well, it worked for us, didn't it? We've been dancing. We've been singing. Oh, my goodness. That had me crying laughing. But anyway, good morning. I see you all getting in the room. Hello, Kenny. Alabama's in the house. Hello, Pamela Gill. Love it, love it, love it. If you're new to my streams, if you're new to the Empowerment Tribe, we would love, love, love to know where you're watching from. So just tell us that you're new. Tell us where you're watching from. And now I would like to, hello, Kimberly on IG, I see you. And hello across Periscope and Twitter. I'm monitoring you as well. So thanks for the hearts on Periscope. Love, love, love it. Now's the time I want to shout out to a special group of people. They know who they are, and you now will too. It is the troop that we know affectionately as the Share Squad. Yes, the Share Squad. They make sure that we share out these good nuggets of wisdom and empowerment and enlightenment so that everybody can get in the room. We like to have as many hearts and minds in the room as possible because, listen, with all that's going on in the world, we need as much encouragement, empowerment, inspiration as we can get. So thanks to all those who are on my dedicated shout out Share Squad. I just love you. And for those of you who aren't a part of the tribe, please join us. We have a Facebook group and we also have a text group. So on Facebook, you can join us at Facebook.com/groups/empowerment tribe and just join. You can also text the word release to 22999. I hope you all got my special text over the weekend that I was thinking about you and just some nuggets sprinkled in there to make sure that you knew how to set your thermostat for this week. Bold moves. We're still about bold moves. So if you didn't get that text and you'd like to get that text, text the word release to 22999. So our topic for today, unpacking our emotional DNA. Now, let me just tell you, we're going to do it in a fun way. So nobody gets scared. Nobody run away. It's not like we're about to get all heavy or deep. Nobody get scared and nobody run away. I see you, Rashish Pitt on Twitter. Thank you for liking. I hope you share. Good morning, Kim. I see you on IG. Thanks, Kimberly, for sharing the sunflowers too. Love it, love it, love it. So, love the hug. Glad you did. So let's get to this thing. What are we talking about when we're talking about emotional DNA? Well, this whole nurture versus nature debate continues with scientists and psychologists about what we really respond to, what has the greatest impact on us, whether it's our environment, whether it's our DNA. And emotional DNA, it's the way we act, the way we react, how we look at success or failure. It's our response to those events. And some of those things may have been built into us prior generations. And it's a legacy thing that we're kind of writing, and the way that we repeat and react, and we don't even understand why. Now, for some of those of you who are like, is that really true? Do we really have, emotional DNA? Let me tell you about a study that was online. I read about it in Psychology Today, where they had tested a group of rats. Now, I know the whole animal humanity thing, I get it. But let me just tell you what we learned. So they had an area of a maze where they had mice run through it. And they did like a low-level shock. When they would get to a certain point in the maze on the way to their treat. And so the mouse would, stop and then go a different direction. Low-level shock, clearly, because they kept going. Now, they said up to 8 to 10 generations later, and more, they were still seeing patterns where they would put mice from that lineage in the same maze. And when they would get to that point, without even being shocked, they would stop and go a different direction. Amazing. Amazing. What things are hardwired in our systems that you don't even know about, that you've been trying to figure out, that you've been trying to deal with? Our system is a treasure chest, and it has all these clues in there to what has happened to us, what has happened before us, how it was handled, and we can change that. But we have to look at ourselves fully, be willing to look at ourselves fully, and we're going to do it from a fun way today. We're not going to look at heavy. We're not going to look at triggering things that are deep, but I want you to know that they can be in there so that you'll do your own due diligence to maybe work with a therapist, to maybe work with a coach, to get out there and see what are the things that I just keep running into. It's like I keep bumping my head up against. And now maybe I need to get somebody to help me through the trauma, help me through those things so that I can work it out. If it's not trauma-based, then maybe a coach can help you, okay? But the point is getting an outside perspective so that you can kind of deal with and see what are these triggers and what are these patterns that I've fallen into that I just didn't even realize I had. Only when you see those things and when you accept them fully and quit wishing it was some sort of different way. A lot of us have had different experiences growing up. For those of you who have had bad situations, God bless you, but you're here. You're strong because you're here, and there's still purpose in you to fulfill because you're still here. That means you're built for this. You're built for the path. You can get through this. But as long as we can embrace it, look at it, what can we learn from it, and stop wishing about that should have been different. Now I'm stuck. No. That should have been different. Now I know it. Now I'm going to figure out a new way to get through it. All right. And that is also tied to our growth mindset. And those of you who follow me know that we're all about the growth mindset. The key is you can change what lives in your system. And that's good news. That's the good news. Now, for some of you who, especially in the business area, good morning, everybody. I see you in the business arena. You all have heard about, oh, look, we've got to get into the importance of understanding our EQ, IQ, and AQ, right? And some of you may have done some work with me if you've come to any of my life classes at my church, or if you've done any coaching with me online, we will talk about this. We'll talk about your EQ, IQ, and AQ, because it's very important for you to understand this stuff. So just briefly, so that you understand the impact of what that is, take a look here at EQ. Just settle in the middle. So IQ is your intelligence quotient, right? Your mental proficiency and the potential you have to learn and understand things. But your emotional quotient, that's what EQ stands for, is the ability to assess and manage your emotions and those of others, right? To assess and manage your own emotions, and then be able to have perspective about others. That means identifying emotions, evaluating, perceiving how other people feel, controlling your own emotions, right? Not letting them get the best of you, facilitating social communication with others, and how we relate to ourselves and others, right? So now that you understand in there what EQ is, and you can take a screenshot of that. You can also Google it and look up some more stuff. But now that you kind of understand that in that way, I want to kind of talk to you about what do we do with that? How do we unpack that? What does that mean? And because the bottom line is there's some stuff living in us, and we got to learn how to make peace and dance with it so that we can use it for our good. Success is there for everybody. Your different levels of success, how it looks is different, but success is available to you. And we need to know how to get to that place. So right now, when I ask a question, I want you to be brave and bold. You don't have to get serious, but I want you to think about your immediate influences growing up, your mother, your father, your parental figures, whatever that was that provided nurture and nature to any degree. Even if it was faulty, dysfunctional, think about those things. Now think about the lighter side. What is a lighter trait that you may have gotten, and how does that live in you? What is a lighter trait, and how does that live in you? All right. And hey to my mommy who's watching in Alabama. Mwah. What is that trait, and how does that live in you? Now, let me tell you one trait that people might not think is part of nurture or whatever, DNA. But my mom, Eva Pearl, is fiercely protective. Now, I know all mothers are, right? I get it. But my mom is like stealthy Trojan horse protective. Like, she has that sweet aura and that sweet presence about her that we'll be walking down the street and people will just be staring at her. And I'll be like, you want a mama hug? They'll be like, okay, pre-COVID, right? You want a mama hug? And they'll be like, yeah. And she'll just hug them. Like, she has that kind of maternal aura about her. All my friends were always at my house because they just love my mom and dad. That's her thing. But heaven help the child who comes for one of her children. Heaven help them. She turns into something I have not seen on earth. It is otherworldly. It is otherworldly. You probably have a mom like that too, right? But the contrast is so stark between like, oh, TV mom and grandma, to this otherworldly thing. And Pamela says, I remember that about her. Yes, yes. Hello, love. You got love from your influences. I see you, Reverend Wingo. That's awesome. Thanks for weighing in on Periscope. Yes, love. That fierceness is in me too. That fierceness is in me too. When it comes to people that I love, particularly my mama, people just don't know who I am. Loving others. That's right. That's right. And so when you can identify those traits, now you can understand that, oh, you know what? Just like I have love, just like I have compassion, like I have protection in me, just like I have these other traits, there could be some other stuff that's in me too, right? Tamara says she got kindness. That's great. That's beautiful. What's up, Walter? I see you on IG. Kindness is a great trait to have. We're talking about emotional DNA. What is the stuff that was passed down to you that was loving and fun? Shout out your people. There must be some of you, it's a sense of humor. Hi, Edward. How are you? Did some of you get a sense of humor? I think I got my dad's quirky sense of humor. He was like that, the straight guy. Like he would drop a comedy bomb and then wouldn't be laughing, but would have you out there looking crazy, like at a funeral. Like, why do you have me giggling at this funeral, Dad? Pamela says discernment. Very good. Very good. So many traits, right? So many things that we can get and remember that, you know what? I picked that up from I'm like this about that. There might be even some other things, like your love of something, your devotion to something. What are those traits? What are those traits? Because once you understand that you can get those traits, then you also understand that there are patterns to seeing things in your system that might be negative, right? Some things that we picked up. Walter on IG says his strength and his weaknesses, his dry humor. It's his strength and weakness. That is so funny. Hi, Miles Coltrane. Hi, Monique Danielle. Yes. Those things can be strengths and weaknesses. Dry humor. I love it. I have it. It's just how you use it, right? So when you think about your emotional DNA and as we're unpacking what that has to do with your successes and or your missteps or your places where you get stuck, you have to understand that just like you can use those things for good, there may be some things that you have in you that you don't even realize that you've inherited that you need to take a look at. Right. And so I want to share some tips and things with you out of a book that I've been enjoying over a year now called Maybe It's You. It's by Lauren Handel Zander. Maybe It's You. And in the book, she takes a look at a couple of things that she finds with her clients have helped her in terms of dealing with some of these emotional DNA things, right? Tamara says dancing, watching Soul Train with the entire family on Saturday mornings. That sounds familiar. Helen says she has a lot of quotes from her mom that she says now. So that wisdom has transferred to you. That's awesome. Daryl says empathy and protection of those who can't or won't help themselves. Big brother syndrome, even though I'm the little brother. That's funny. I love that though. The protector, that's good. The empath, that's beautiful. That's beautiful. We honor those who poured into us these things, these traits that we now use for our good, right? And now we're looking at, and just like there's no blame when we start looking at, and when you'll look at on your own, maybe there's some traits that I need to investigate that aren't working for me. There's no blame because they got what's passed to them and what they learned environmentally as well. Right. And so now we just know that we have to look at our own patterns so that we can understand them, so that you won't just repeat them unknowingly, but that we grow and do things differently in life. Just like that the mouse experiment that I was telling you about, how generations after that, those mice would get to a certain place where their ancestors, right, those before them, had that mild shock and they just stop. They just get stuck and go a different way, even though they have not experienced that low dosage of shock treatment, even though there was nothing there blocking them, but it was in their pattern, in their DNA. So where is it you keep getting stuck? Figure that out and then take a chance and start looking at patterns of your family, patterns of those who've had influence on you, and see if there's one simple word or small repetitive action or something that's a part of what you do. Is there, when you get to trying something new, do you get stuck? But did you see that modeled in your mother? Did you see that modeled in your father? When you get ready to, I don't know, when an uncertainty shows up, do you get angry when somebody changes something on you because you like to have things very planned, but the anger is really attached to fear because what's happened is they've thrown you off your game. Now they've introduced uncertainty and you don't like that feeling. So instead of just saying, hey, this feels weird, I'm not comfortable here, you get angry. Those are the kinds of things we're talking about, the patterns, so that we can understand them and unlock and rewire our system. Okay. So let's take a look at a couple of tips that she shares in the book. The first thing is pinpointing it, right? So just like I said, we're not going to try to wish it away, wish it were different, beat ourselves up about it. It is what it is. It was what it was, and now we're here. So how do we put a leash on those negative types of traits, right? Pinpointing it. You got to figure it out, spend some time with self. You might need some help. If you have experienced trauma in your childhood and you know this, I highly recommend that you get a psychologist, a psychiatrist, that you get some therapy help. And for those of you who go, I don't know how to do that, I don't even know how to start that, I'll be glad to help you find a referral that works for you. And it's easier than ever now because we're all doing virtual. So you can sit in your own home and do it. You don't have to go anywhere. So if you do need that, if you do need a referral for any kind of help like that, just let me know. Just reach out, because there's no reason for you to stay stuck. Not this year, not next year, not ever. All right. JeanetteSmith.com. There's the website. My phone number and stuff is on there. Pamela Williams says, I inherited the spirit of keeping it real, although I am so more polished with it. Well, that's the good thing. We get better. We get better, right? We get better with time. All right. So that first one about being able to just pinpoint it, own it, pick the negative trait that you want to deal with, right? And for example, she says, anything that's getting in the way of your dream. I say anything that's getting in the way of your anything, right? If it's in the way, if you keep getting stuck, do that. She gives an example. If you're looking for love, you have to deal with some of the traits that are in your love dreams way. For example, do you keep rushing to shy and shallow people? Are you maybe you're heavily guardian or parental influence was cold, and so you gravitate toward that because it's a vibration and an energy that you're used to, but it's not one that you really want to be in relationship with. Those are the types of things that we're talking about. Was your parent or influential figure pessimistic? So that's an energy that you're used to. So then you end up dating that, but you don't really want to be dating that. It's just familiar. Those are kind of things. Pinpoint those things, okay? And then once you pinpoint it, the second thing we need you to do is observe it. Check it out with your thoughts. We've always talked about, why do I do what I do? We do an fun exercise on Fridays, right? Where you come and you get different perspectives, because we want to observe, what are we thinking? What are we feeling? Do I still want to feel this way? Okay, cool. If not, let's change it, right? So you have to observe it. She says, so let's say you're angry or easily annoyed, you're a grumbler. For about a week or two, see how that trait shows up. Log it. And remember, your brain is like an operating system. It's collecting data. It's collecting concepts. It's the thing that all your feelings and emotions and decisions and actions get filtered through. So when that shows up, you can catch it and see what triggered it. Like, I'm easily irritated. What is that? What triggers that? Just like I said, that thing about when people change, if you notice that you're very controlling because you like to have things a certain way, that's tied to fear that you're not going to be able to manage it if it's in a pattern or if it takes a shape that you're not familiar with. But you can train yourself to get better with uncertainty so that you're not triggered by changes. And then look, you're able to flow more. Listen, the more flexible you can be, the more you're going to be able to assert yourself and get better results in any area of your life, right? Walter says, bringing every thought captive. You got that right. Bloop. Wisdom from a great book we call The Good Book. All right. So observe it. See how it shows up. See how it's examining everything from its perspective. Find out the reasons why you do that thing, right? And then 3, name it. Name it. Give it a name. Make it something funny so that you can deal with it. I love injecting levity and humor into personal development work because nobody wants to be walking around self-checking themselves, feeling bad about it. No. Personal development should make you feel like, thank you, I'm free. I don't have to deal with that anymore. I'm living my best version of myself. That's what you should be feeling like. Thank you. Yay. Right? So if you give it a name, give it something funny. And when you give it something funny, it's like a nickname. Okay. Just a little nickname. So she says, catching your nickname trait on purpose. Now, I've done this exercise with you all. You may remember when I was talking about your inner critic and I asked you to name your inner critic. And some people would say nagging Nelly or timid Timothy or whatever. You named your inner critic so that when your inner critic showed up, when you got ready to make a bold move, you could say, no, Jaquita, I'm not listening to you today or whatever. No, Frank, not having it. Right. So that you can make light of it, but you catch it. It gives you a tool so that you can check yourself before you go down a road that you didn't intend to go down because your negative Nelly led you there. All right. The next thing we want to do is leash it, right? After you name it, you want to leash it. You got to leash your trait, which means you're going to put in some rules and regulations, boundaries. Like, I'm not going to feel bad because I do that. I understand that that's a part of my upbringing. There's maybe a part of my emotional DNA, but I am going to deal with it. So I'm going to give it boundaries. When it comes up, when it creeps up, I'm going to understand what I'm doing. I'm going to understand how it affects myself and others. And then I'm going to change this crappy behavior, right? I'm going to change it. I'm going to figure out the right sequence of things so that when it comes up, I can grab it. And then I'm going to replace it with something, right? She gives an example. You could say, I'm going to owe my kids or my spouse or coworkers, money every time. She said, anytime I start acting like I'm the busiest, most important a-hole in the room. Anytime you start doing that, you show up as the busiest, most important a-hole in the room, then I'm going to give my spouse some money. Here's another one. If you're the know-it-all, you show up and you got to know it all the time. You might, what's the repercussions for that? Have an accountability partner, a friend, a spouse, your significant other, your kids, whatever. Listen, when I start acting like this, check me on it, right? You got to learn how to leash it and see how long it takes you to straighten up, because usually when there are repercussions, you kind of can get that thing tightened up real quick, right? The next thing we want to do is replace it. So now you've gotten it, you understand it, you leash it. Now I got to replace it. So you got to design a trait now, a new pattern of behavior that replaces that old thing with the new thing. So if you're a relative that say is shallow, you want to replace that trait with depth and caring. If you show up and you're always just kind of right at the surface and you say, no, this is a relationship I really do need to invest in more, then what does that look like? Think that through. Be intentional about it and then do it in intention. Do what's right because it's right, and then do it right. Do it for the right reason, right? Lastly, implement it. No surprise. You have to do. It's all in the doing. It's not about wanting to be better. It's not about knowing I should be better or even believing I can be better. All those things are great, but it's really about implementing it, right? It's really about putting it in a place where you see it in action. Because one of the things that helps us in our development is when you see yourself doing better, it encourages you and inspires you to do even better. It's kind of like I talk about that weight thing. Like once you lose 5 pounds, you're like, oh, hey, I can do this. Then you want to lose 2 more pounds and then another 5, so small wins. You've got to celebrate small wins. And that's what implementing it does. Not to mention the fact that you're trying to move the marker from A to Z. If you started out A and you really want to be at Z, the only way you're going to get there is by small incremental steps. Don't try to take the whole elephant down at one time. Nobody can do that, right? We're human. We're going to make a mistake. We're going to try it. We're going to mess up. We're going to back up. We're going to try it again. We're going to mess up. Like that is why just trying it. And if it didn't work, don't quit. Just say, okay, that didn't work. That didn't work. I got to do something else. Because I hope you see now that your emotional DNA, those things really get in the way if you don't deal with them to your success and fulfillment, for your happiness, your peace, and your joy. So once you get these patterns together, you can change them. Now, I'm interested to hear from you all. What patterns do you think, if you want to say, what are the patterns? Because we all have something that could use a little tweaking, right? It might be a little tweak or it might be a big one. Might be, some people might be an overhaul. But what's that one area where you know what? When it comes to my emotional IQ, my EQ rather, my emotional quotient, there's some things that I could do a little bit better. Are you passive aggressive? Or do you just quit? I don't like drama, so I just stay out of it. Some people think that's a win, but then that means that you're an avoider too. Because if you never get involved, that means you're always avoiding, right? Philandis, what's happening? Myron says, celebrate the small wins at every transition. Absolutely. You said it, sir. You said it. All right. So what are those areas where you could use a little bit of tweaking? Little bit. I'll tell you. So that overprotective thing, I had to learn to ask questions first before just bringing the full warrior forward. Right? Learning how to ask questions. Sometimes people did things they intentionally meant to do. Sometimes people did things they did not intentionally mean to do them, right? And so you have to give space and grace for that. So I'm wondering today, what is it that you all know? I need this one area. I need to check it out when it comes to unpacking my emotional DNA. What is that? What is that? And you don't have to go into great detail, but it's important to kind of say it, because when you say it, then you own it. And when you own it, then you can move through the rest of the equation, which is leashing it, naming it, replacing it, and then implementing it. Very important, very important. And, I don't know for those of you returning to the workforce, but many companies give tests on EQ, IQ, and AQ. They want to know not just how well you do what you do, but they want to know, what is your intelligence quotient? What is your emotional quotient? And what is your adversity quotient? How do you adapt to change? Because you can be very skilled, but if change happens and you freak out, they're like, I don't know. So even, in the workforce, these become things that employers want to know about. They want to know your EQ, IQ, and AQ and where you land. So Reverend Ada says, space and grace. Great point. Yep, absolutely. People are dealing with a lot of stuff. So sometimes space and grace looks like, for me, in my own personal, fading back, just giving them room and kind of looking at it from way out here. Hi, Mike Robinson on IG. Welcome in. We're talking about emotional DNA. Nicole says, I need to embrace change. That's great. That is one of the most important tools in your box. Because guess what, Nicole? I know you know this. Change comes whether we want it or not, right? Change is always going to show up. So being able to understand that, this is an area that I have a problem. This is an area where I'm not always comfortable. This is an area where I might freeze. That's okay. You named it, and now we can get about it, right? And so I salute you and all those out there who feel that way but didn't do it, didn't say it. I salute you, because change isn't change until you change, right? Let's see. Leola says, how I feel about the situation, my feelings. Yeah, processing our feelings. How I feel about what I feel. That is profound, because you're allowed to have your feelings always. You're always allowed to have your feelings, but what you do with them, that's the thing that happens, because you have experiences that lead to feelings that create these thoughts, and then your thoughts trigger a decision, and then your decision manifests some sort of action, and the actions that you take over and over and over again, those become patterns and habits, and that's what leads you to whatever your destination is: success or failure, learning or stuck. Right? Those are the things that we have to look at. So when you say, I need to look at how I feel about how I feel, that is profoundly important. Yay for you, mama. I see you, Nicole. Nicole says yes, yes, yes to the embracing change. So true. Miss Helen says, sometimes I speak a little harsher than I wanted to. I think we've all been there, Miss Helen. And so thank you and kudos to you for being honest about it, right? So what do we do when that kind of stuff happens? You don't beat yourself up. Can you fix it? But I always say, sometimes people just, let me just fix it to fix it. Figure out why. What was it in that interaction? What's up, Willie Diggs? I see you on IG. What was it in that interaction that made you speak a little harsh, Miss Helen? That's the thing. Like, what was that trigger? What was it about that situation that made you, right? Because when you figure that out, then not only can you fix it and apologize, explain, make it better, but you have a greater chance of setting yourself up to not do that in the future. Because the next time it shows up and that feeling shows up, you can go, oh, yeah, I know what this is. I'm not going to do that the same way, right? Great example. Great example, Miss Helen. Appreciate you. Pamela Williams says, I strongly dislike drama. I'm definitely an avoider. I used to hit an issue head on with intent of purpose and outcome, but it was always used as a negative against me. So I went from one extreme to the next, trying to make a positive balance. I understand that too. Been through that, where you want to affect change. You want to affect positive change, right? But then we can get zealous about how we do that. And then when we do it that way, what happens? Maybe we come in a little hot. Maybe people can't handle the truth. You can't handle the truth. What's up, Mike Robinson? I see you on IG. You can't handle the truth, right? So then we have to learn how to adjust, not only so that we deal with things and hit things head on, but in a way that's palatable, that's going to be received and accepted. Because you can be right. This is what I learned from me, Pam. You can be right and do it wrong, right? So that doesn't get anybody anywhere. So I have to be right, and then I have to do it right. I have to present it rightly. I have to present it in, like, there's no need giving somebody a ribeye if they can only really suckle milk. You're going to have to give it to them in the way that they can understand it, in the way that they can take it in. And we have to give people this margin for correction. Like, if somebody's done something wrong and you come at them with the thing that they've done wrong, just put yourself in their shoes. Thanks, Mike. I see you. He says wisdom over here on IG. Put yourself in their shoes. Would you want to be able to correct yourself and still have some self-respect, some dignity, or would you want to be humiliated in the correction? Right? You don't want to be humiliated in the correction. So when you correct somebody, right? You give them this margin of being able to help be a part of the solution so they can correct themselves and adjust themselves. That always makes people feel better because they feel like they're a part of the process and you're not just like gunning for them. The other thing is that change, that seed that you will have planted, I promise you it'll take root for themselves, and they'll also extend that grace to somebody else. That's how that works. It's just how that works. Mike says you can't do right wrong. That's right. Tag it, bag it, post it. That's a great quote. I love it. Absolutely, says Pam. Absolutely. You guys are doing great. This is what I'm talking about. So when you understand some of these things, it'd be interesting for you to go back and say, is this some stuff that I got through emotional DNA, emotional transference? I was talking to one of my mentees about fixed mindset and growth mindset. That's good. Thank you, Willie. I appreciate that feedback. fixed mindset and growth mindset. We're talking about, if kids or teens never see their parents admit their wrongs or mistakes, they could grow up thinking, I'm never supposed to make a mistake. Thanks for kissing my cheeks, Willie, with the hearts over there on IG. I see you. You could grow up thinking you never get anything wrong. You understand? If kids never see their parents own a mistake or model how to correct a mistake, children could grow up thinking, I have to be perfect. And then we wonder where we get all these perfectionist things from, right? Sometimes it can be emotional DNA. Sometimes it can be in our environment. For me, I told you it was, in news, I had to learn how to perform at a very high level. And so I watched that transfer into other areas of my life where it was like, I have to be a perfectionist. I have to know everything all the time. Well, do you? No. Balance. Balance. Miss Helen says, you are so right, and I will apologize. And I'm also a forgiver, and I ask for forgiveness. Those are two important qualities to have too, Miss Helen. Absolutely. We give grace because we need grace. We're human beings. We're going to make mistakes. We're going to muck up some stuff, right? We're going to muck up some stuff. And so we want to make sure that we always extend that grace that we need. That's great. That's good stuff. So I hope that out of all of this, you all have seen these patterns exist. Can you go figure them out? Grab them, identify them, try something different. Because when you put these concepts into action, you'll start laying down different neural pathways. Think about those mice that would hit that one spot where those before them had gotten that mild shock and they don't know why, but they don't go forward. You will now be creating new neural pathways where you'll just power through that place of stuck in the past. Maybe somebody told you in your family, oh, you'll never graduate from college, or you'll never get a second degree, or you never get your doctorate. Nobody in our family ever does. That's where they got up to the point in the maze and got stuck. But now you can go, bump that crap, power on through. Power on through. Go do what's meant for you. Changing the way you're thinking can change everything. You might be able to activate or deactivate even the physical genes that you carry. There's studies on that too. So important. We've known for a little while about our minds over our health and our physical health. I've seen it within my own body, dealing with cancer. I love it. Willie says facts over here on IG. I've seen it in my own body. I know the power of mind over my body, right? But you can change the fate of your destiny. What are the things in this last quarter that you need to change? What are the things that you need to have happen before we get out of 2020? Quit going, 2020 sucks. I wish it was over. Great. I get it. But what can you do in this last 3 months, this last quarter? What can you do? October to December. What changes can you make? What changes in your thinking can you make so that you set yourself up for better in 2021? Don't be a helpless passenger of your life. Be the driver. Get in the driver's seat when it comes to your future. Future you will be so happy. Don't make future you pissed off because you sat and squatted on the rest of 2020. And now you're in 2021, 2022, wishing you had done some stuff differently. You can make the changes now, right? And you can change your emotional DNA into a healthy pattern, into a healthy route, by practicing mindfulness. Some of the things that we always go through here on Mondays and Wednesdays and Fridays. Acceptance, acknowledging the past, making peace with that so that you can make corrections to move forward, giving a balance to those things, not living trapped by it and not living in fear of the future, but embracing it, learning what you can from that, and then making mindful choices to do something different going forward. Right? We can consciously create a future that you will be proud of, that you were meant to live, that you want with all your heart. Instead of saying, I'm stuck, yes, I can. Instead of saying, it won't work, say, I'm going to try. You can make the difference. You can do something different. Take control of your stuff. That is right, Nicole. Take control of your stuff. Sherry on IG says, yes, yes, and forgive yourself. Absolutely. Sometimes the hardest person to forgive is ourselves. But you can do this. I believe in y'all. You got this. You have got this. I'm so glad y'all showed up today. Thank you so much and I hope that you got something meaningful out of this. And if you didn't get a chance yet, I would love to invite you to share this out now that you know the content, now that you know where we're going with it, now that you know the nuggets of wisdom shared, not only hopefully by me, but by those who showed up, the Empowerment Tribe. Now you can get out there and make a difference and share this out with That's my share squad I'm so proud of. Thank you, thank you, thank you for spreading the word. For those of you who are interested in more, we do deep dive coaching. We've got men's coaching tonight. I've got my brother, my friend, who's going to be joining me with the men's coaching tonight, the Reverend Dr. Patrick Claiborne. You can join us in men's or women's coaching or even individual coaching if that's what you would like by registering at JeanetteSmith.com. I also do content creator coaching for those of you who are stream enthusiasts. And I'm bringing all of my 30 years of Emmy, Telly, and Aurora winning expertise and knowledge and mistakes to the table. So you all will be the benefactor of those things so that you can get out there and get your message out. What is that message that you have on the inside of you? Right? That needs to get out there. You always get a nugget. That's great. I'm so glad. Y'all are the best. And then meet us back here on Wednesdays. Wednesdays, because I take things from a mind, body, and spirit perspective, on Wednesdays, we do things from a spiritual bent. So we'll still be talking about emotional quotient or emotional DNA, but we'll be talking about it from a spiritual perspective. So if that's something that you're down with, it's not tied to any particular form of faith, though for most people know that I'm a Christian. That's not what we're there for. Just meet me at the point where you understand God, or at the point where you understand a higher power than us has to be in play. And if you can do that, then come meet me so we can talk about how your spirit is impacted by these things. And then live coaching back on Fridays, 10 a.m., where we work it out in a really fun exercise that called Points of View. All of our tribe really loves it. I hope that you have a great day today. Set your thermostat. Set your thermostat. What is it you want to achieve? What is it you no longer want to be behaving like or acting like? What is that thing I want to achieve? And what is the thing I need to change? You have control. At any point in time, you can take control over it. And today, when you make that decision, just know that by tomorrow, things can look very differently. Just try it. What do you have to lose? Just try it. Just try it. Love y'all to life. Love you to life. Have a great one. Bye-bye. I'll be alive.